This is Women in Music with Gfire Podcast, episode number 36 with singer-songwriter BettySoo. BettySoo, I haven't seen you in person in, 3-4 years, I guess.
Years, yeah.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. Did you ever get COVID or anything?
I did not. No, I stayed pretty locked down. I'm still pretty locked down, actually.
Yeah, me too. Do you do live streams?
I do a live stream. Yeah, I took maybe 6 or 7 weeks off this summer, but I've done my weekly show every Tuesday since last March, and it's been really great. I've really cherished that check-in with people, and I've actually done the show on Zoom, so it's been great to see people's faces, and really special because I feel like that show has kind of become its own little community. Like, people really care about each other and love seeing each other's faces. So it's been really special. How about you?
Yeah, I've been doing Facebook Live, which does not enable me to see the faces. So
right.
I'm going to do 2 more. I promised myself I would do it every month on a Tuesday, actually.
Oh, wow.
First Tuesday on Facebook Live, and it's been okay. So I'm going to do this one, and then in December, and this will probably come out in 2022, but then I'm going to try and do some recording.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's the master plan.
That's great. Yeah.
And I've been putting one of these out each month. I kind of curate it and make sure.
Fantastic. What a great project.
I just, I used to be a music journalist back when I was rave DJing. And I wrote for a magazine called Herb, which was short for urban music. It was all about, different types of electronic music.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of interviews, and I did a lot of record reviews, stuff like that. So doing this is something that felt supernatural, know?
Right.
Sorry,
I'm having a little bit of an allergy day. I forgot to take my allergy pill yesterday, and so today I'll be paying the price. I did take my pill this morning, but it's usually like, I feel like a day later, if I forget to take it, I'm like really paying for it. So if I get a little sneezy, I apologize in advance.
Yeah, I mean, my last Facebook live stream, I was total mucus. It was horrible. And I hadn't set enough waters out, and I didn't want to leave because I was the only thing happening in the show. So
Right.
I just kind of grinned it and bared it. But yeah, allergies seem to be in full force for me as well.
Oh, they are. Yeah, for me too.
So do you make enough from the live streams, or do you have any sort of day job that you do, or you married, or?
No, it's just me, and I will say, I mean, obviously, I think for many of us, our gross income is way down this past year and a half. But, when I don't have any traveling expenses, it's incredible how far that little bit will go, I mean, not paying for airplane tickets and a ton of gas and, just hotels and, all eating out, all the stuff that is so expensive when you're traveling,
Right.
rental cars, it's amazing how much all of that costs. It really makes me wonder if it's worth it at all. Like, I mean, I love playing shows and I love seeing people, but, we have long said that the only way to make money was touring.
Right.
And now I wonder if touring is even, I mean, other than the payoff of playing shows and connecting with people, those other non-financial rewards for touring, and building your base and all that kind of stuff. I just don't know that it's as rewarding as we have told ourselves it is financially all this time, because I really, and I don't say this insensitive to how many people really have struggled financially during this time. But for me, my standard of living hasn't changed that much. You know, I mean, that said, I was always pretty tight budgeted before. So,
right. You don't live on a mansion on 3 acres or anything like that.
Yeah. And, you know, other than touring and eating, like, you know, when you have to, when I was home, I wasn't much of a go out to eat person because I was, you know, on a limited musician's budget. So, but, you know, I haven't worried about running out of food or anything like that. You know, I haven't, you know, I'm able to meet my bills every month, and I just feel really, really fortunate and lucky. And that hasn't changed for me this past year. So I feel very fortunate.
That is very fortunate. You know, I try and check in with everybody, you know, just make sure our crew here in Austin is surviving.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the first 6 months, there was a lot more distress. You know, there was a lot more anxiety about how long that would be sustainable. And, you know, and I was dipping into savings at the beginning. And then there were just you know, music-loving people in Austin who would PayPal me $30 or $50, you know, just saying, hey, I know times are hard. And, like, that stuff got me through. And, you know, because $50 goes a long way towards your electric bill. And
absolutely.
People may think, oh, I'm just giving this little bit. What does that matter? And it's like, oh, it makes a huge difference. So,
did you get one of the Sun Radio grants? I got one of them.
No.
Didn't? Okay, because they gave me $200 to help pay my electric bill just by sending them a plug saying, hey, it's Gfire for Sun Radio, and please consider donating, like Sun Radio donated to me, to help me stay.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, there was my massage therapist sent me like $100 to help, and
incredible.
Yeah, so it just stuff started showing up from different places.
I know. I mean, I don't know what we would do without this community of support, you know, that we have. And, you know, I hope that, I think, I always wondered if what I did in return, you know, kind of my part of the relationship in writing music and releasing it and whatever and performing, if that really was worth it, you know, because I feel like these people are like sacrificing financially for us. And I think this past year and a half has really helped to resolve some of that anxiety for me and like that doubt that, you know, maybe I just have this ultra narcissistic job that, you know, that's like so self-centered and, you know, it feels selfish. I mean, I often feel like my job is so selfish and self-centered. And even though I try to be really mindful about doing it for other people and all of that, but, you know, it's like there are a million other jobs out there that, I mean, if we're honest, nobody dreams of doing. And we get to do this thing that people dream of doing. And I just never want to lose sight of how lucky that is and all of that. But then this past year and a half, like, I had so many, you know, meaningful emails, messages, you know, Facebook messages, whatever, from people saying how one certain show or one live stream or one, you know, song or something was helping them get through. And, you know, I to be honest, deep down, I always thought it was a little bit of lip service. Like, oh yeah, we provide this entertainment and people enjoy it, so they're going to say it's meaningful. And they're going to make us feel better about what we do by saying it's meaningful. And then I think I really started to accept this past year that it really is that meaningful to people, like that, how meaningful it is to me as a music lover to take it in.
Right.
Like that it means that to them too.
Right. So, you know, you are fulfilling your side of the bargain.
Yeah, which is hard to believe, isn't it? I don't know. For me, it is.
Oh, me too. I mean, you know, I don't know if you've go to therapy or anything, but that's definitely a recurring theme in my therapy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, me too. Years of that.
So I think, just knowing, okay, well, this is, the artist's way. If you ever read that book, that this is what we do. We're creatives and we create, or else we wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, it's kind of a struggle. Hey, I'm putting this out there. Does it really, like you said, does it really mean that much to people? But I think you're right. I think it does. I've definitely gotten good response from people, and it's been a time of reflection because I've been even more of an introvert than I normally am.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I probably should get to some of these podcast questions, but we've at least addressed the elephant in the room, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you originally from?
I grew up in Spring, Texas, which is just outside of Houston.
Okay.
I was actually born in New York, but my parents moved when I was like a baby. So the only place I really remember for my whole life is Texas, and growing up outside of Houston.
And did you come here after school, or did you?
I moved to Austin straight out of high school. So that summer after after high school, I moved to Austin. In fact, I chose to go to UT because it was in Austin, and I wanted to live here. And I still wonder sometimes what would have happened if I had gone to a different school. Like chosen a school for the school. I'm sorry, all my fellow Longhorns out there. It's not that I'm dissing UT, but I definitely chose it for the city.
And did you get a degree in anything?
I did. I got an English degree.
Okay.
And focused on creative writing.
Seems a reasonable thing for a singer-songwriter to study.
And yet I never wrote a song during all that time. Yeah.
Oh, when did you write your first song?
When I was I want to say 28.
Oh.
Maybe 27. I think maybe I was 27. But no. 26. I was 26. Late 26. I wrote my first song, I think.
Wow, okay. And did you always play guitar and sing?
I always played instruments. My family was very musical or is very musical. We all play instruments and have for pretty much since we were tiny tots. And I started learning some basic guitar when I was in high school, but I didn't actually own a guitar till I was in college. So maybe once a week I'd have access to put my fingers on a guitar when I was in high school, starting when I was, I don't know, maybe 15 or 16. But, it's not the same until you actually have one at home that you can play and practice on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I teach music. That's my day job. So, I'm always beating the kids over the head. You got to practice your guitar at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Which if you don't have access, you can't do. But did you take guitar lessons when you were in college, or?
I didn't. I just, I played in church, and so I was learning basic chords from that, and but I really, to be honest, so much of it was just knowing enough music theory from, playing classical stuff growing up, just knowing enough theory to put together chords based on the notes, and that's really how I learned to play. Was just going, okay, I want to play a D, so I need to find an F sharp, I need to find an A, I need, it's like, and that was how it's like, okay, well, this is where my hand fits, so I'm gonna finger it like this. I mean, that really is how I learned to play guitar, and so it's, I don't know, I still feel self-conscious about technique after all these years, but I feel pretty comfortable with it now, and I'm grateful actually for that time figuring a lot of that out.
Wow, that's kind of unusual because I guess I won't say most everybody I talk to starts when you're younger, but writing. But it sounds like you were more focused on. Did you take violin or something like that, or piano?
Yeah, growing up, I took piano, violin. I played flute. For a short time, I played oboe. I mean, we had so many instruments in our house. So, yeah, it was, I had sisters who were playing clarinet and bass. And I mean, just there was all kinds of stuff going on. So,
So that was more your original focus was just coming out of this classical music background.
yeah, and sing and then a lot of music in church and then singing with my family just for fun and stuff. And I yeah, I mean, so it's not like I approach guitar or my songwriting stuff with a classical bent, but that training is in there, you know.
Oh yeah. That never hurts, I think.
Yeah, I feel really lucky to have it.
Yeah. I mean, I studied classical voice from age 14 through 22, you know, all through high school and college, and I don't think it hurts my singing at all.
No, I mean, yeah, what great tools to have in your pocket, you know.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have all that. Well, let's see. Career highlights. Do you have any career highlights as a singer-songwriter?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, from the very beginning, playing restaurant gigs. I don't know that I've had any kind of big break ever, but I feel like my whole career so far has been little tiny things that felt like gifts, and they've incrementally gotten, I guess, more recognizable, like playing at E-Town or Mountain Stage or something. But really, I just feel like all along the way, somebody took chances on me and, gave me a stage when I maybe hadn't totally proved myself worthy of it yet. And that's how really any of us get anywhere, right? Is somebody believing that we can step up to it. And I mean, my first CD release was at the Cactus Cafe, and it was because Griff heard me sing at an open mic there.
Wow.
And I went back and asked him if I could release an album there. I mean, nobody knew who I was. I was like so green, and my songs weren't very good, and just all of that. And he heard me at an open mic and said, and he finally called me back and he was like, "Okay, you can do it. You can have a CD release." And I think it was like on a Wednesday or something. It was like not
right. It wasn't
night,
Saturday night or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But I was so grateful for it, and the first time that I got to play at Momo's, or that I opened for Ruthie Foster at Antone's, or it's just like all along the way there have been all of these little gifts. Some buyer at a venue takes a shine to you and lets you open a couple of great shows, right? And then sometimes the headliner likes what you did and befriends you, and recommends you for some other job or gig. And
anyone in particular, like a headliner you're grateful for?
I mean, Ruthie Foster was a big one. Sarah Hickman and Terry Hendricks were both incredible. Eliza Gilkison. I mean, there's so Jimmy LaFave was huge for me. I mean, he helped me so much. He introduced me to so many people, and really took me under his wing for a long time. And which and that's not unique to me. He did that. Like, I look back and think about Jimmy, and I don't know how he did it, because all of us are so busy all the time, right? All of us are like playing catch up all the time. We look at our schedules and we're like, I don't know how I'm going to get all my stuff done, in time. And Jimmy had to feel that too. But I look back at the amount of time that he just spent being nice to younger people, and having lunch with them, or taking them to see a show, or introducing them to his favorite restaurants, or just like being a real person with people. And I have heard so many stories since he passed from people that I didn't know before, who are like, "Oh yeah, when I was like in college, I was thinking about moving somewhere, and I happened to meet Jimmy LaFave, and he was like, you should move to Austin, and he took my mom and me all around the city for an entire day for a tour."
Whoa.
or why we should live here. I mean, I've heard countless stories like that, and I think, wow, he made time. He made time to
Yeah.
invest in people.
That's quite a story. I didn't know him very well. Just in passing. So
Isn't that crazy though?
yeah.
It's like, wow, how do you do that? So yeah, I mean, I think honestly, my career highlights have been mostly personal things like that.
That's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it does. You don't have to say, "Hey, I played Lollapalooza back in
which
whatever."
I have not.
But I think for people listening, they kind of want to know, like, oh, what are some cool things that BettySoo did, that she's really proud of, and do you want to have any cautionary tales going the opposite way, like, oh, don't do this?
Oh, you know what? I should also say that, like, Kim Ritchie and then the comedian Jen Kirkman have both been really, really generous with me as well.
Really, Jen
there have been so
Kirkman?
many.
I know. Well, I don't know Jen Kirkman, but
Right, but we all know who she is. Yeah,
Right.
I randomly was asked to, like, open for her for a show in Dallas, and she just was super nice, and we got along really well. And she was like, "Actually, you're really funny, and I liked having a funny musician open the show." And so, like, a couple times when she's come back to Dallas, she's asked me to open the show, and yeah, so nice, and she tweets about it, and she'll, like, promote it to her audience, and it's so generous of her. It's so generous of her.
wow.
Yeah, and same thing with Kim Ritchie. I mean, she's just, if we're doing something together, she will put my name out there. She does it with so many younger artists, and it's. I really hope that one day I have enough of a platform to help people.
To help other younger, just like you've been helped.
Exactly. I mean, I kind of feel like, oh, I'm just going to be at this, like, little low folk level for the rest of my life. So, but
Well, let's call it mid-level. Where I think mid-level is where a lot of us live.
yeah, I think that's right.
Because there's only a certain amount of room up at the big top.
Yeah.
And we put in our time, so we're not, like, really at the bottom.
That's true. That's true.
So,
I'm
yeah,
so self-deprecating. It's sometimes to a dangerous
I feel like there's a big old middle, level that covers pretty much almost everybody I know.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Cautionary tales.
Well, those can be fun.
I was thinking, since you said that, I was like, I think one thing I wasn't prepared for coming into this was how much, coming full circle to what we were saying at the beginning, how much people take in the things that we say and do and sing really personally. How much they attach it to who you are. Like, I sing a lot of songs from first person that are not about me.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like they're pure fiction. Sometimes there's stuff that I'm, haven't experienced yet, but probably my subconscious knows I'm going to deal with. But a lot of times it's stories from my friends, right? Like, you have heart-to-hearts with friends, and you take little pieces of their story, and you're like, oh, I could see how this is a universal experience, and I'm going to sing about that from a first-person point of view. And people really assign it to you. And truly, I get that, because I do have a lot of singer-songwriter friends who only write from their experience, right? I mean, their songs are about them.
That's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think that's great, but that's not how I write. And so I think it was interesting learning that there was no way to correct that perception. Like, people are going to believe that, and you just kind of have to live with it or accept it. Not that you don't, like, not that I'll lie about it. If people say, is that about you? I'll say, no, it's really not. But I know that most of them are going to walk away going, yeah, it is. But as a and I'm a pretty self-deprecating and not that hidden about my faults or my flaws, and especially when I'm on stage, I joke about it a lot. And as a result, I've always said, like, since I was maybe in college or something, that that what makes people feel close to you is not your openness for them to confess to you, but your willingness to confess to them.
That's very interesting.
People can share all their secrets with you, but what makes them feel close to you is you telling them a secret.
Wow.
And you telling them some flaw about yourself, and kind of confessing. Like, then they feel trusted and they feel close to you. And I think because of that, being in a position where people feel like they're taking in an hour and a half of your confession at a show, they feel really close to you.
That's a wonderful thing.
It is, but it can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous as well. You're right, because
it can literally be dangerous because there are people who don't have boundaries and who will be harmful to you. But it can also just be emotionally dangerous because when you don't really know those people and you can't reciprocate that closeness that they feel for you, it can be really hurtful to them.
Okay.
And
I see what you're saying.
And sometimes I don't really know how to handle that, when people feel so connected to you and you're like, I barely know you. I really don't know anything about you.
I think that's just how our society's set up a little bit.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of comedian podcasts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, you think, oh, I know Patton Oswalt. I know what he's about, but I really don't.
Right.
So I can relate to that. I don't actually listen to any music podcasts. Perhaps I'm just too busy producing this one. But I love all these comedy podcasts. And I was listening to Mark Maron, who's one of the top ones. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, he's great.
But he was saying, he would do these comedic shows, these stand-up shows. And then people who listen to the podcast would say, oh, how's your cat? Or did you get your washing machine fixed? Because they feel like they know him on that level because he's so, open about his emotions, what he's going through. But he really doesn't know these folks.
Right.
So I think, unfortunately, as an artist, I guess we just develop our own way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a magic formula. I don't know of one, but...
I don't know of one. And I think that's right. And I mean, it can sometimes even happen with venues. And, I've had, as I'm sure many artists have, I've had, venue owners or, concert hosts or fans who got confused and thought that they were in love with me, and it was like, you're really not. You're in love with this idea and a persona. And I'm not saying that I'm putting forward a false version of myself, but that's not the whole me. That is a public facing me.
Right.
And it can get dicey.
Right.
So I don't want to tell a specific cautionary tale, but I will say that has been the root of many of, if I was going to tell a specific cautionary tale, that they've basically stemmed from that.
Gotcha. Okay. I will leave it at that. I don't want you to name names.
Don't make me name names.
All right. So now the song you brought in today is called Blackout?
Which one? What did I send you?
You sent me something that said Blackout.
Oh, Blackout. Yes. Blackout.
And okay, so I, being me, assumed that was about you and a relationship that didn't go right.
That was actually, I wrote it to sound like, a romantic relationship. It actually, I wrote it when I was on the road. I was opening for Alejandro Escovedo.
Oh, nice.
On tour. I mean, talk about a freaking dream gig. Like, getting to hear Alejandro perform every night, like, crazy awesome. And he was amazing, and really kind to me. He and Nancy were both really wonderful to me. And it was a duo tour. It was just him and Susan Vels playing, so he wasn't touring with the band. And
okay.
I mean, that was really magical because he could just go in any direction every night. It was great.
Is she a cellist?
She's a violinist.
Violinist. I was thinking he loves to use strings.
Yeah, she's so good. And I had actually just had foot surgery, so I couldn't drive myself. So I called up my friend Nicole Wagner, and I was like, hey, I kind of remember that maybe you flex work from home or something. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, would it be possible for you to like drive several hours a day and still get work done remotely? And which is a lot to ask, And she was like, yeah, I could do that. And she basically tour managed for me for that whole tour and drove me and helped me carry my stuff and, was really awesome. And we were getting, like, because we kind of went up north through the middle part of the country and then down the East Coast and through the South and back in this big loop. And it was about when we were getting to the southern Atlantic seaboard that I was like, oh my gosh, this has been so drama-free. Like, this whole time with her and me in the car has been delightful. Like, it was so easy, and we didn't drive each other crazy, and we didn't, just like all those things that after a little while on the road, the person you love most in the world can still sometimes drive you crazy,
Absolutely.
And, especially when you're on tour, because you are with each other 24 hours a day. It's more than, people say, oh, that's my road wife or whatever. It's like, it's more than a wife, man. I mean, you eat, sleep, go to the bathroom together, like you do you're constantly with each other. So I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe how drama-free this has been and how easy it's been. And it got me thinking about like every really difficult road moment I had before with other people I'd toured with, and people who I love dearly and would tour again with in a heartbeat. But there are some really tense moments from history, and so I kind of wrote the song to contrast all of those hard moments with this current tour that I was on, and that we just didn't have any of that, and how hard it is when that does happen, because you've got to get back into the car together, and
right, you still have to get to the next place.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to like come in with a good attitude at the next venue, and you're just like at your wit's end with this person, or they are with you, and yeah.
So this song was more about a contrast between your drama-free one and the what's happening in the song, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not about the contrast, but you know how sometimes like it takes the contrast for you to see something?
Right. It takes the light to see the dark in this case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I really put a finger on how hard some of those tours were until I experienced how easy this tour was.
Right, exactly. With zero drama.
Yeah, zero drama.
Wow. All right, well, I'm going to play the song for the listeners.
Got to Richmond, you knew I was somewhere else. My mind was reeling down a different road, and you could see through what I felt. By the time we pulled into Charlotte and threw our bags on the bed, you hadn't said a word in hours, and I had torn my nails to shreds. And it's dark with the blackouts drawn tight. Can't tell from here if it's 10 in the morning or the middle of the night. We're gonna lie here together like nothing's wrong. That window unit moaning its own sad song. And it's dark, baby, it's so dark with the blackout strong. By the way you veered into that lot and dragged so hard the ashes raced to your lips. Well, I knew you had so much to say, you just couldn't find the words to do your anger justice. By the way, I know I haven't said enough that I believe in who you are. No, and now it's too late. It just fall empty like the bottles in the backseat of this car. And it's dark with the blackouts drawn tight. Can't tell from here it's 10 in the morning or the middle of the night. We're gonna lie here together like nothing's wrong. That window unit moaning its own sad song. And it's dark, baby, it's so dark with the blackout strong. We'll just lie here together like nothing's wrong. That old window unit moaning its own sad song. And it's dark, baby, it's so dark with the blackout strong.
Oh, it's really nice.
Thank you.
It's really nice. I love when you swoop up to your high notes.
Oh, thanks.
There's just something angelic and ethereal about it. It's just really pretty.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, where can people find you?
You know, my website, BettySoo, SOO. Most of my music, including that song, I haven't released, actually. I haven't released an album in, I don't know, 7-8 years. It's been a long time.
Oh, I hear you.
But I have been releasing, I have been recording all this time, though, and I've released a ton of music on Patreon. That's kind of where all my stuff gets funneled through now.
That makes sense because those folks are helping you keep alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd do without them. I call it the BS Song Club.
Nice.
And yeah, and so they get a ton of new music, and you know, and it just feels like a really tight little community in there.
Well, what are your plans? Are you going to release anything that you want to put out to the world, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, so a band that I've been in for a few years, Nobody's Girl, with Rebecca Loby and Grace Pettis, we just released a new album in the summer, so summer 2021. It was supposed to come out in 2020, and we pushed it back a year for, you know, when everything was open again. Oops.
Right. Yeah.
We ended up playing a couple of shows and then having to cancel the rest of our tour anyway. But yeah, so that was kind of our big new thing, and then I am talking with a few folks about making another record. I have, like I was saying, I have so much stuff that's already recorded and in the can. And I was planning to release that, some of those recordings as a very limited physical only release, that I would only sell at shows. But then I haven't played any live shows basically for like 2 years. So so that's still waiting for when I'm back on the road again. But yeah, I am talking with some folks and some friends about recording another studio album and actually releasing it.
Right.
Rather than all of these recorded albums that I have that are in the can and not released. So
it's weird times as far as what should we release. I mean, I was thinking I would just release singles.
Yeah. I released a couple of cover singles this year, and
How'd that go?
Fun. It was fun, it was just fun to do it and just to give people something. And I think what's so hard for me is that I really love being in the studio. I love recording, and I mean that is really my happy place.
Oh, it's fun.
It's so fun. But the process of releasing music, thinking about publicity, thinking about marketing, thinking about, how many people are downloading this or whatever, or streaming this, that stuff really depresses me. Like, it is like a light switch that can just turn on my depression like almost nothing else in my life. And so I've been very avoidant of it, and I'm trying to work through it in therapy, but I've been trying to work through it in therapy for a long time. So I don't know if I'm just not doing the right work on it, or if it's just such a block for me that it's just going to take a really long time for me to get over that. But, and it's not because I expect it to be so successful and then it's not, because I genuinely don't expect to have like a long legacy after I go or after I pass, or if
how many people have that, really?
Right, exactly. Most people never do. Most people, once their contemporaries and friends are gone, they kind of disappear.
Right.
And I mean, that's just not just most musicians, most humans.
Right. I mean, and even the people that are huge now, in 100 years, will anybody remember?
Right.
Very few. Rihanna or Beyonce or any of those folks,
Right. Very few people will be kind of in the annals of history. And I totally accept that. I'm not uncomfortable or sad about that at all.
Again, we're sort of riding that middle wave.
Yeah. So it's not that. And we've my therapist and I, or whatever, we've tried to put our finger on what it is exactly that is such a trigger for me. And I don't think I have my finger on it quite yet.
Well, that's what regular therapy can help us say, hey, I don't have this figured out yet, but I'm going to at least take this step.
Exactly.
This is the next thing I have to do.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, one of the friends I'm talking with about making a record, he knows this about me, and part of the reason that he offered to come in and help me with making a record is because he's like, let's break that cycle, let's make something and just get it out there.
Right. And do you think you would go to like Kickstarter to get some more money to hire a publicist, that sort of thing?
I don't know yet. I
mean,
I've only done one of those kinds of campaigns once.
Yes.
And it was so stressful for me.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I could put myself through that again. And I actually think that might have been, like, one of the things that I actually was talking about with my counselor pretty recently was, I realized is 8 months ago. I mean, we've talked since then, but I'm realizing that this conversation was like 8 months ago. I was like recently, and I was like, wait, that was like February.
Well, it's within the last year. That's kind of recent.
Yeah. But I actually think that fundraising campaign was so difficult that it is part of why I dread release cycles. Okay.
Well, at least now you're starting to put a finger on it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't think it's like the main, like that. It's the whole picture, But I do think that was such a trying experience.
That you're like,
that it got me to hate that part of it even more.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, most of us, I didn't take marketing classes. Did you when you were studying?
No.
It was, for me,
I was
it was
taking
all.
poetry classes.
I studied French and I studied music theory and opera and
Yeah, I took
piano.
Spanish literature and yeah.
Right, stuff like that. Psychology. I did take psychology. Guess.
Yeah, modern American poets, modern American novelists. That's
Right. All that good stuff. But no,
yeah.
marketing was not part of my background educationally.
Yeah. And I think I feel just a lot more independent about every step of it when the way I always did it before, which was that I would just basically scrimp and save everything. And I would just save money until I had enough to record and put out a record.
Okay.
And I think what I really like about that, I mean, it takes longer.
Of course, but it may be less stressful in the long run.
But I think having that real independence and feeling like I don't owe anybody the result of this.
Right. Yeah.
This is mine to make exactly as I wish and to release exactly as I wish. I think that once I did a fundraiser, I think that feeling really diminished.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that anybody else, any external voices were saying, we expect you to do this because we gave you money in advance.
Right.
But just the whole process was so tied to expectations and to other people's desires that it just lost that feeling of this is utterly mine.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I think, every artist has to find her own way.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're making art. We're not marketing.
Yeah.
We're just doing art, and then somehow the marketing has to happen
Right.
at some point in some way.
And like one of my favorite teachers told me in high school, it's just art. You don't have to like it. And I'd like to get back to that feeling. Of like, okay, so you don't like it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
I don't like everything everybody puts out every day. So nobody can be expected.
There are things that my heroes have made that I'm not a fan of.
Right, exactly.
And I'm glad they made it anyway because they wanted to.
Right, do you know Sandy Denny? She's like my favorite folk singer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But she did some experiments with like jazzy stuff or rock, and it just didn't really serve. But like you, I'm like, but yeah, she felt like it that day. Go for it, Sandy. Nobody says, oh, you only can sing folk songs forever because that's all I like. It's like,
right.
No, as an artist, she felt like, hey, maybe I'll sing this little doo-wop-y thing. And
exactly.
She sang Silver Threads and Golden Needles, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
We got to do the things that we want to do,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you want me to add? Like anything that we haven't covered? Like, I'll point people to your website.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll also say Patreon. What's it? Patreon.
Yeah, it's just patreon.com/BettySoo.
Okay.
But, I think what is so special about the Patreon community is that these are people, and I don't just mean people on my page, but like
right in general.
I support other pages, and when I see the interaction of patrons there, it's like here is a giant community of people. Like, I mean, when you look at the whole Patreon universe,
right,
and all the people who support somebody on there, it's like here is this giant community of people who understand that for the most part now, art, whether it's visual or music or video or whatever, is pretty much free to consume.
Oh, absolutely.
You can consume it for free, but it is not free to make it.
Exactly.
And here is this giant community of people who get that.
Right.
And they might be spending $3 a month, but they are saying with those $3, I know it costs you guys money to make this stuff. And it's important for me for it to keep coming. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I think that is so powerful. Seeing that is incredibly powerful.
That sounds good. That gives us all hope.
I know, right?
I haven't started trying to think of a Patreon thing, but if I don't know. I don't know if that's my path or not, but I've heard a lot of good things.
It's I will say, like, you know, when social media stuff started, like when you first started on like MySpace or Facebook or something.
Oh yeah, MySpace.
And you felt like, oh, here's this kind of small group of people who are really interested in like knowing what I'm about, and I'm interested in knowing what they're about.
Yeah.
I feel like Patreon feels a lot more like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I was not prepared for how social it would feel, actually.
Really? Well, can you give me an idea what you put out?
I mean, I've put a lot of unreleased songs on there, like several albums worth of unreleased songs. Sometimes, you know, occasionally I've just done like a Zoom chat with just patrons. Like, hey, if you guys want to just hop on and have an hour or two of just talking, like, let's
like
just
what
hang
we're
out
doing
together. Or maybe it's like, I'm going to do an all request concert. So like message me your song requests and some of them are deep catalog and I'll practice them and get ready, you know? And
right.
But they interact with one another and they comment on each other's comments. And like, I probably signed up for Patreon a year or two before I actually launched my page. Like I just had an account sitting there that I never launched. And I think part of it was because I feared that it was going to feel really transactional.
Right.
And for me, like I said before, where art meets commerce is where I get really uncomfortable.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I love selling other people's stuff. I hate selling my own stuff.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to feel so icky, like asking people to just pay me money directly, you know? And, but no, it doesn't feel that way at all. Like it feels exactly like I was saying. Like it feels like people who get that it just takes money to do the thing that they want you to do that is meaningful to them. And then here is this smaller community carve out where they can tell you what they love about it without feeling like some weird troll is going to jump in to the conversation. Right. Like they are just among like-minded people who all dig this artist.
That's very impressive.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I might look into that more.
I know. Yeah. And it's fun to be a member of people's Patreon pages. I mean, like, it's just it's really great because it feels like, because these are all people who are putting their money where their mouth is and saying, I really support this person.
Yeah.
Like, it really is a pretty troll-free zone.
Oh, now that's even better sounding.
I know.
You know, compared to, say, Twitter.
Right. I mean, it is like the most, both as a creator and a patron on that site, it's probably the most safe feeling, like, social site that I feel like I'm a part of.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, I'm definitely checking into Patreon, and
I know, I'm like, I should be getting a kickback for this Patreon. I'm just kidding.
No, it's
no. But, I mean, I have members, and
you have members, and you just start with whatever you have, I guess. And
it has been such a gift to me. I mean,
and do you do
emotionally
something
more than anything.
Do you do something for them every week?
I usually put up a couple things a month.
A couple things a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get like free access to all of my Zoom live streams and stuff like that. You know, I just give them the Zoom links directly, and
right, they don't have to pay.
Yeah, they don't have to RSVP or pay or anything. And I just sent like everybody who, you don't have to give your physical address on Patreon to your artist if you don't want to, but for everybody who did, I just sent them like a brand new sticker that I made.
Aww.
It has like my little cartoon face with wearing a mask.
Aww. That sounds adorable.
I just made available on my website now, but like it wasn't, and I only sent it to the patrons at first, and so yeah, like they just get bonus goodies.
Right. This is awesome.
Yeah, I like
well,
it.
You're awesome. I mean, I'm glad that we had a chance to visit
Me too.
in
Me
the
too.
most socially safe way possible.
I know. I mean, I think we met so long ago, like probably 13, 14 years ago.
Oh,
right?
yeah, at Wimps or something, or at somebody's gig, or
Momos or Wimps or
or
something.
Momo's. Yeah, I did some shows there. I don't know.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was really great to see you and to talk again.
Yeah, it is. It really is. This is fun for me, and hopefully you'll enjoy having your episode out. You can tell all your Patreon folks and come listen to the interview. Like I said, it'll probably be 3 or 4 months from now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too. This was really fun.
Okay, cool. Me too. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.